Now I'd like to call our first case is for dog owner Mr. David Gisarelli for a dog named Charlie. Officer Denny, in your packet you have a signed complaint from Officer Evans with the U.S. Park Police. You have a notice of hearing to the dog owner. You have a notice of hearing to the complainant. You have a police report from U.S. Park Police dated August 6, 2012. And you have animal control's information, history.
Thank you very much.
Officer Evans, if I can get you to come up to the podium, please. The tall one, thank you. If you can make that microphone comfortable. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, Officer Evans. Thank you for coming down. Looking through the packet here, and I am aware of the police report. But it's a lot of times it's a lot easier just for someone to tell me what happened in plain language. So why don't you tell me what happened?
Hey, good afternoon. On Monday, the 6th of August, 2012, I was on mounted patrol with my police mount named Stoney. We were in the area of Crissy Field. Had been out on patrol for a short while, about to return to the barn. The day was going well, and as we were walking, we just stepped onto the grass area of Crissy Field in the triangle corner section. I noticed a dog running in our direction toward us from a good distance away across the field. Started to try and assess what I was going to do because I'm new to the area. I've only been here a month. My horse has only been here a couple of months. That was his second day out on patrol with me. And I had been warned repeatedly that San Francisco dog walkers and owners are very different. It's very political. It's very sensitive. So all of this was going through my head. But I determined at that point the dog was going to be a threat. So I readied myself, if you will, with Stoney.
How far away when you noticed the dog?
The dog was a good maybe 200 plus feet away.
200 feet away,
but at a full charge towards my horse and I.
Okay, that's a pretty good indication.
Well, yeah, although we're new out here, I have 23 years on the department, 17 years on horse mounted patrol in Washington, D.C. We've had dogs before in D.C. So I readied myself, thinking, okay, it's very political here. Here we go. I was by myself. I saw the dog charging, and then I heard, "Charlie, no, Charlie, no." And I looked beyond the dog, and I saw a male running after the dog, but he was at least another 75, 100 feet behind the dog, Charlie. Looked back at the dog, who was obviously getting closer, and recognized it to be a pit bull. And that escalated things for me because I've, again, dealt with pit bulls in the past on the East Coast, and it's never fun, particularly when they are attacking you. Then I heard the owner yelling, or the man yelling, "Keep going, officer, keep going. Don't stop, keep going, turn around." Which, per my training, you never do, because then you're insinuating the dog to give chase. Stoney is a thoroughbred racehorse off the track. He can run, but that's not what you do in defense. So I stood there, I held Stoney, and when Charlie got to us, he stopped a short distance away, maybe 6 feet, sniffed a couple of times, growled a couple of times, and I thought, okay, it's not going to be that bad. And then he came around to my right side, jumped up, tried to bite my leg, but he didn't get a grip because I have the leather riding boots on. Slipped, fell to the ground. And as I'm holding Stoney, because again, per our training, you try and keep the horse facing the dog. You don't want the dog to get behind you. And again, instinctually, take the rear legs, take the belly, the gut, to bring the animal down. So I'm trying to face Charlie with Stoney, and as I'm looking down, I don't know whether Charlie ran directly under the horse or behind the horse, but he ended up on the left side of Stoney and I, and bit Stoney on the front leg and locked on. And Stoney reared up, and I'm holding on for dear life, obviously. And as he's rearing up with the dog, the pit bull hanging from his leg, and me trying to stay on, and he's trying to get his balance, we all go down. I land head first, get knocked out briefly. And after that, I don't know their names, but a man and woman who were driving by, because we weren't far from the roadside, had stopped. They came running across the grass, got me up off the ground, and asked me, officer, are you okay? Are you okay? What can we do to help? And again, Stoney's knew that was only his second day out on patrol, so I knew he didn't know the area. So I said, we have to find the horse. He only knows where the barn is, which wasn't that far away. And so the wife insisted that the husband put me in their car, and we give chase to try and catch the horse.
So Stoney and Charlie
were gone. I looked around, and you could not even see them. They were gone.
So you got knocked out.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I landed on my head and my right shoulder and blacked out.
So when you came through,
it was only I don't know the exact amount of time, probably less than a minute or so, maybe a little over a minute. I don't know the exact amount of time, but it was enough time for the man and woman to come over and get me up off the ground and ask me if I was okay. And I was, of course, dizzy and seeing stars, hearing birds, that whole nine. And they put me in their car, and we began driving, and traffic was completely stopped. Everyone was crowded on the sides of the road, and they're saying, the horse went that way, the horse went that way. The dog's still chasing him. What Stoney did was he went across, I believe it's Mason, and made the right turn, and then the immediate left, because that's the way we had just come down from the barn, down that hill. So that was the only way he knew. And he, as horses will do, he instinctually ran to return to the barn, i.e. safety. He got to the barn. Because I was the only one working at the time, the barn was completely shut. There are four access doors into the barn. Stoney ran up the hill, at which point I was going to put it on the radio, but my sergeant at the time on duty was just coming down that same hill, and he saw Stoney running with the stirrups flapping.
Was your sergeant mounted?
No, the sergeant was what we say straight leg. He was a regular street officer. But he was the supervisor on duty at the time. And I had only just 1 week prior, when they held a roll call to introduce me, welcome me to the San Francisco field office, one of the comments that I made to the staff was, if you ever see a horse running across the Presidio with the irons flapping in the wind, that's not a good sign, because that means the officer is down somewhere. And we laughed, we kind of joked about it, but they knew I was serious. And so the sergeant said as soon as he saw that, he panicked because he figured I was down somewhere. I'd come off of Stoney. He got on the radio and said, car 803 priority, Park Police Horse Stoney is running with the stirrups down, and there's a black and white pit bull chasing him. At that time, I was coming up the hill in the Lexus with the John Q. Citizen. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. Just trying to catch up to them. And again, people were on the roadside stopping, telling us the dog's still chasing the horse. The dog's still chasing the horse. Stoney got to the barn, went to the first door, couldn't get in. That's when Charlie caught him and attacked. Bit him, chewed him on the legs. Stoney broke free, ran to the next door. Charlie got him again. Bit him, chewed him. Stoney broke free. Witnesses said he did 2 laps around the barn, going door to door to door, trying to get in and couldn't get in. There were 2 other horses out in the front paddock in front of the barn, and they were panicking, freaking out. So Stoney took off up the hill. Sorry.
Take your time. Take your time.
Stoney took off up the hill, running. He didn't know at that point where to go, which way he was going. And the transmission came over the radio. The horse was running towards the bridge, notified bridge and tunnel. And I'm listening to it, but I couldn't do anything because I still hadn't caught up to him. And finally, one of our motor officers was able to catch up to the horse, and he said that Charlie was still chasing him. Sorry. He said that Charlie was still chasing him, but he hadn't caught him. But he was not stopping. He would not give up the chase. And so he took his Harley Davidson, his police motorbike, and they're very loud. Obviously, they're Harleys. They're very loud. And so he slowed the bike down because he was behind Stoney at the time. He slowed the bike down and got alongside Charlie and revved it really loud and hit the police siren, which startled or scared Charlie. Charlie at that point ran to the side of the road and stopped. Then he continued to follow the horse, who at that point, going on Lincoln Boulevard, made a left on Lindrum Court, and again didn't know where he was. But he's still running because he thinks the dog's still chasing him. So Officer Floyd got on the radio and had 2 other officers who were in patrol cars, knowing Lindrum Court was there's a one-way in and one-way out on 2 ends of it. It's a small street, residential street. He had the officers go on the opposite end with their cruisers and block the street off. And he got off his motor and went to catch up with Stoney, and eventually got him at the top of the hill. And he was just completely covered, bites, gashes, blood. He lost 2 of his shoes, 2 of his horseshoes in the chase. The sergeant, car 803, was able to go to the road just under the bridge, the overpass, where Officer Floyd advised that's where the dog had stopped. And the sergeant caught up with the dog and held the dog until Mr. Gizzarelli, the owner, was able to come there and take the dog. Stoney could barely walk, so my partner went to the barn and got the truck and trailer, came back, and we took Stoney back to the barn. I had a severe headache. My shoulder muscles were aching, but I didn't want to go to the hospital because I knew I couldn't leave Stoney, because Stoney, he's very, very attached to me. I'm his partner. And the vet was on the way, hadn't gotten there yet. And so I stayed. The ambulance came to the barn to check me out. They wanted me to go to the hospital. I refused medical attention so I could be there with Stoney when the vet got there. And the vet got there a short while later and worked on Stoney for 2 hours, and stitches and staples, and that's pretty much what happened. I have pictures and one of the shoes he ran out of, and other reports from the other officers involved.
Are those my copies? May I keep those?
I'm sorry. Oh, absolutely.
May I keep
absolutely.
those? Sure.
And Charlie ended up chasing Stoney for 1.6 miles, which is pretty absurd in my opinion. But that's just a Google map of the route that they were running. The vet's copy of the injuries.
Oh, my goodness.
Days ago for his follow-up, and Stoney is healing very well, extremely well. But that said, there was ligaments, tendons torn, and there was major muscle damage. So there's a great possibility that he may not heal fully. He may not be able to return to police work.
What
Maybe retired.
retired as in sent up to a police horse retirement community? I know San Francisco police, when the horse retires, they send him up to Sonoma County somewhere.
If I understand you.
Okay, so Charlie is grabbed by your sergeant. How was Charlie's demeanor? Was the sergeant able to grab him by the collar, or how did that go?
Well, he didn't have a collar on. He didn't have a collar or a leash on. And when I saw the owner running behind him on Chrissy Field, I could see the leash hanging around the owner's body. Mr. Gizzarelli had a pair of small shorts on and nothing else. He was bare on his torso with the leash hanging around his torso.
Okay. And did you, obviously, Mr. Gizzarelli he was detained after this, correct?
Yes, sir. He was placed under arrest.
Was he booked or cited?
Honestly, I'm not certain what the difference is here. And I'm just here newly from the East Coast.
Well, he was charged with.
If we place someone in custody and transport them back to the station, that's considered an arrest.
Okay.
If they're cited and released, it's still considered entirely certain.
I guess he was charged with 4 different offenses.
Yes, sir.
Including assault to a police officer, assault to a police horse, failure to restrain a pet, and of course creating a hazardous condition.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm sorry?
How are you healing up? Do you have any after effects from all this?
Well, it depends on your opinion of after effects. My right shoulder's still sore. I still get slight headaches. Apparently, I had a mild concussion. Nightmares, but that'd be putting it a little dramatically, but it is what it is. Like I said, that was only my second day on patrol with my horse here. I've had him for 2.5 years. He's my partner. Brought him 3,300 miles across country.
You trailered him?
No, we used a private company,
okay,
federal government, because we had 2 horses to bring across, him and one other new one.
Well, it sounds like Mr. Gizzarelli here has been cited to the full extent of the situation and how we're dealing with the dog. Do you have any recommendations on what to do with the dog?
That's a really tough call. I grew up with dogs. I like dogs. However, mitigating circumstances are what they are. It's a pit bull. One of the articles, he classified it as an American Staffordshire Terrier. It's still, per San Francisco law, it's a pit bull. And me, the dog chased my horse for 1.6 miles. That's unheard of for any dog. The dog accomplished several bites. He has the taste of blood in him now. I don't see that dog returning as a docile, controllable animal in an area where there are mounted police patrol or any horses for that matter. There are several areas where there's private horses, private riding stables where they ride along the beachfront. I don't see that dog ever being quote unquote tame and domestic enough for Mr. Ghisarelli to be able to control the dog. And again, I know I'm new in this area, but the interviews that they've had in the press and several people that I've spoken to, I'm getting the same answer over and over again. It's a very sensitive issue, Eric. It's a very political issue, Officer Evans. That does not make it okay. That does not make it okay for Charlie to attack a federal police officer. My horse, though he's an animal, per the bill signed into law by President Clinton in August of 2000, he is a federal police officer. He is protected by law. And for any dog, Charlie or any other dog, to attack him and then pursue him for 1.6 miles, that dog, my horse will never be the same mentally. And that's another aspect. I don't even know whether he'll be able to go on patrol again as a police horse. So when you equate that to a federal police officer now being retired because of an attack by a dog, what happens to the dog?
I see your point. Well, I'm sure Mr. Ghisarelli's going to have to answer to this as the owner of the dog.
And the other thing I might add, if I can, something else that's new to me here, this whole issue of voice control. I get it. They've explained it to me over and over and over again. But again, I read Mr. Ghisarelli's comments and his laissez-faire attitude. One of the quotes was, "The dog was really, really fast. The horse was really, really fast." And that says what? That explains what? Your dog chased my horse. Your dog attacked myself and my horse. How will you prevent this from happening again if you're put in that similar situation, or for another dog, or for a child in the area? How will you effectively prevent that from happening? I don't see that possible, in my opinion.
Okay. Why don't you have a seat, and we'll talk to Mr. Ghisarelli and get another perspective on what happened.
Thank you.
Okay.
Or actually, these were your copies too of the other report. I was looking for them. They were folded.
That was some day. Why don't you tell me from the point where you and Charlie were down near Chrissy Field, and what was going on before this happened? Me and Charlie was a healthy 1.5-year-old Charlie do a lot of running together, running from one week.
saw the dog, I was trying to jump on the dog. I was trying to grab the dog, but the dog was spinning over the horse several times. The horse was spinning over. I was afraid to jump in there. I was afraid I was going to get tackled by the horse. I could have been killed for all I know. At that point, what I saw is the dog kind of sit down, and the horse kind of sit down after he was bitten. He wouldn't fight the horse anyway. And then what I noticed was that the horse didn't really fall. It looked like he sat down and let the rider off. Whatever the situation, it was very accomplished. I was right there next to me looking like that. He was paying attention. He was focused on the horse. I didn't see any attacks on the rider, but I knew that the dog was like the horse. And I was doing everything to try to jump on him, to try to get him, but every time I'd go to grab him, the horse would spin around and the dog would jump. So, as I was saying, the horse kind of went down, let the rider off, the rider rolled off the horse. And then at that point, the horse took off with Charlie chasing him. I continued chasing him. I ran after the dog and the horse and got him off. I'm a good runner. I did my best to catch the dog's friend because I lost him and I was running. I ran all the way around up the stairs. I couldn't find the dog or the horse. So I started walking around the stairs and I started walking. Break off his hand. It seems to be very determined. Blonde, athletic. I'm a little concerned with your statement about harm. Where it's supposed to be. Are you clear on that? I'm clear on that, but I think there's definitely an issue there. While I respect the law of the land and respect the federal police, they are putting farm animals together with domestic animals. Any dog, not just the pit bull or not just Charlie or my dog, could have chased after that horse, could have caused a problem. Me and Charlie and the 50 other dogs that were on the field unleashed that day, we're all exercising our rights. And as the other dogs ran after it. That's correct. In this incident, yes. But I would be prepared to provide several articles of evidence showing that it's not just bull terriers.
Oh no, and I've been involved in incidents where horses have been attacked by shepherds, dogs, not necessarily dogs like Charlie, but at the same time, it is your responsibility to keep Charlie from attacking anyone. It's your responsibility. You, the person in charge of the dog's going to do what it's going to do, but it's up to you to prevent the dog from doing it. And I don't, you can't leave it up to the dog to decide what to do. The police could be having kangaroos running around there, and it's still up to you to keep Charlie from chasing people. Okay? It's almost implying that Charlie was provoked by the Park Police putting a police force in the park. And I really want to make sure that you understand that they're well within their rights, and if the police force is under control, so it's not asking too much for the dog to be under control.
My response to that, officer, would be that Charlie's a young dog and he has no history of ever attacking any animal, any person, causing any kind of problem at all. Charlie has hundreds of people that know him, that know that he's a friendly animal. He's never had any incidents with any cats, any small dogs, any large dogs. Any dog that he comes across, he's very friendly with. He just sniffs, gets to know them, they play. So when you're saying that I'm not controlling my dog, I've never had this incident happen before. Charlie's never seen a farm animal, a big, large horse before. Why that doesn't constitute as an excuse, what am I going by? I mean, I know Charlie as a beautiful, handsome, sweetheart dog until this day.
Lieutenant Brown, would you show him the pictures of this horse, please? Have you seen these yet?
I haven't.
Take a good closer.
Very apparent this is serious injury. Again, I'm not really sorry about it. But I mean, as the officer was saying, this is a very sensitive issue. I feel like people aren't taking into account my issue. That Charlie's known and that's the thing. He's in understood. I've never been in before, but they're aware of the trouble yet we need to limit either that or limit the use of unleashed areas down at security. I'm not trying to impose laws here. I'm just saying that, Charlie had a right to do that. Charlie had a right to do that. And I guess Charlie gets eventually in a usual situation where it's not forced. What if we saw a child that we haven't seen before, or if we saw somebody with a disability walking in the way we've never seen before? You see where I'm going with this? It's up to you. It's up to you. Horses are on the floor every day, and they don't attack it. We had one last year, similar type of situation, but Charlie first
attacked the officer's leg. Okay, when he first got to Stoney, he didn't attack Stoney immediately. He bit to the officer's leg, bit him on the boot, and wasn't able to make a puncture. Okay, so now we have an attack to a human, and then a severe attack to do you want a dog that will do this? Are you willing to accept the responsibility? Do you want to keep a dog like that is willing and able, and nothing you can do about it once it decides to set its mind on it, to chase somebody a mile and a half, and is going to not let up until it is completely taken out of the picture? I just... See, if I put restrictions on Charlie, there's always a chance that he's going to pop out of the window of the car, or he's going to jump out of the back of the truck, or you're going to open the front door of your house and he's going to go shooting out, and he's going to see something. There's tremendous civil liabilities for something like this, too. You understand. I don't know whether you're putting money away for your children's college or putting equity into your house, but that can all be gone in a heartbeat because of Charlie. And that's what I'm asking you. I know you love your dog, and until this moment, until this accident, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt it was an accident, okay? You didn't see this coming, okay? But until this moment, now you've got a totally different dog that you're dealing with, okay? You've got a dog that knows it will attack a human, it will attack another animal, and it won't give up, and there's nothing you can do once the dog has made up its mind to do it to prevent that. So my question is, do you really want a dog with that nature?
I love my dog with all my heart, and I'm considered a puppy. I don't want anything to happen. Cars are obviously claiming that he was attacked by the dog. I have no witnesses to that. I didn't see it. That's the officer's testimony. There's no supporting evidence of that. I saw the dog attack the horse in life, and I'm admitting to it. My best suggestion would be that the dog needs some proper training and needs to be controlled. And I also noticed in the officer's testimony that he says the horse dropped him, he was unconscious, was dizzy, was out, and when he got it back up, he said the horse and the dog were gone. But yet later in his testimony, he said that he saw me running after the dog. So which is the truth?
I like to boil these down, these types of issues, just on a basis. And what I do, and for the record, I do very good at this testimony. The basics.
Does he have proof? Does he have a bite mark on his boot? Does he have a picture of that? Sorry to interrupt.
No, I understand, but he came before me, and that is his testimony. It's my job as a testimony that was good. And I understand that officer's testimony.
Even knowing that the dog has no history of attacking any people
Well, history or not, this is what happened. And I'm taking your testimony, I'm taking your word that the dog has no history. Animal Care and Control doesn't have any history of Charlie biting anybody, but I don't have any evidence that he has or that he hasn't. I'm just taking your testimony that he has been involved in something like this. Okay? It's a double-edged sword here. Okay? And these are the judgments that I have to make.
Well, my final step would be, officer, that I truly realize that this is a tragic situation. Many people, other people could have been hurt. Had the horse gone up on the bridge or something, trampled somebody, this could have been much serious. This is still a serious issue. The dog is, the horse is a trained animal. He's been in service for so long. He's trusted and powerful, great animal. I just want you to understand that I realize the gravity of all this, that I realize that something serious has happened to you, but also there's tragedy on both sides.
All right. How long have you had your hedge?
I've had him since he was a puppy.
And where did you get him?
I bought him from a private owner.
Oh, no.
Where? In San Francisco.
In San Francisco. And, has he ever had any obedience training?
No, just by me. Just self-taught.
Care and control, any recommendations on this one?
You know, I would ask that Charlie be brought back to the state and make the decision.
I think that's a pretty good suggestion. What I'm going to order is that Charlie be brought down by the end of the business day today until I make my decision. I have 15 days to make the decision, but I feel much more comfortable having Charlie in custody until that. If you have nothing else to do, I'll expect Charlie to be at 6 o'clock today.
Yes.
And into custody around
Very well. My apologies to the officer in front of us.
Thank you. Officer, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just wanted to clarify, he said there was discrepancy in my testimony. When I saw him chasing the dog, I said I saw him chasing the dog as Charlie approached Tony and I. And also I saw him later when I was sitting in the front seat of the Lexus driving up that hill. He was running, walking, heading up the hill in the direction that he was told the horse and the dog had gone.
Is there anybody else who'd like to testify in this matter?
Seeing no one else who would like to testify, I would like to close this case. And the officer, hearing officer has 15 days to make his decision. Thank you guys for coming.
I'm sorry, Lieutenant, I got backed up